So for this video, I'm going to be walking you through the steps of how I edited the song Southern California by the band Flight Pattern. So first what I did was I soloed the drums and bass and made sure they all locked in with each other. So I have the kick drum causing a ducking effect onto the bass guitar, so that way it stays out of the way. And then I took both of the kick mics and the bass guitar and put them through this compressor. All of the plugins I used were free and are available for download. This is the EQ curve for the internal kick mic and the external kick mic. To get a boomier sound, I cut off most of the highs from the outside mic, and that helped get rid of cymbal bleed and the snare. What I did next was work on the overheads. I cut off all of the low frequencies and then boosted around 2K. For the snare, I used just a basic preset and adjusted it to fit with how the snare sounded in the room. I sent most of the drum microphones to a half note reverb, and the overheads went to a quarter note delay, and these were just set up as a basic return track. For the guitars, I used two microphones on the amplifier and panned them slightly. The one on the left is the main microphone, and I used the one on the right as a filler microphone. The guitar was a Fender Stratocaster and the amp was a Vox AC30, and we used the amp's distortion. On the backup amp microphone, I used this tape plugin from Softtube, and it adds some natural flanging and phasing and distortion just to make the sound a little more dynamic. Here's all the instruments put together. I didn't do any editing to the tom mics except for a gate to get rid of cymbal and snare bleed. So this brings us to the vocals. I had her take two takes.
Out into the bay.
Every other line was done using the second microphone, and that just adds depth and dimension to her vocal part. The main vocals are completely dry during the verse, and the backup vocals have a half note reverb on them. This is how everything sounds when it sits together. On the vocals, I used the Slick EQ by Tokyo Labs to boost the mids. I used the MJCU compressor to level out the dynamics, and then I used a preset on Reaper to fine-tune the vocals. So last we have the organ during the bridge, and I didn't actually put any effects on this because I thought it actually sit well the way it was, as you can see here. The band didn't record the organ, it was plugged in with MIDI, and it's perfectly quantized to the song. The program I used to capture the video and audio does deteriorate the sound, so this is not a good representation of the project.